Welcome back to my channel. Ready? Let's go. True crime story. 1. The vast, empty West Mesa Desert stretches to the horizon under a piercing blue New Mexico sky. 2. Christine Ross walks a dusty trail, her dog Ruka sniffing curiously at the ground. 3. Ruka stops, pawing at a strange, pale object half buried in the reddish-brown dirt. 4. Christine's blood runs cold as she stares, realizing this is no animal bone. 5. Hours later, Detective Ida Lopez steps under police tape, her face grim and focused. 6. Forensic teams in white suits now carefully brush sand away from the barren earth. 7. A skeletal hand is revealed, fingers curled as if reaching for a sky it never saw again. 8. One grave becomes 2, then 3, a ghastly pattern etched into the mesa. 9. The final count is staggering, 11 women and 1 unborn child. 10. In her office, Ida Lopez pins photos of smiling young women to a chaotic corkboard. 11. Monica Candelaria, 22, was last seen leaving a friend's apartment in 2003. 12. Selania Edwards was just 15, a runaway far from home, using the nickname Chocolate. 13. Cousins Jamie Barella and Evelyn Salazar vanished together after a family party in 2004. 14. Michelle Valdez was 4 months pregnant when she disappeared. 15. The victims all shared a dangerous life on the margins, entangled in drugs and sex work. 16. For a predator, they were the perfect targets, women's society had already begun to forget. 17. The press dubs the unknown killer the West Mesa Bone Collector. 18. The name sends a chill through the city, but the police have no suspects, only a desert of questions. 19. An anonymous tip comes in, suggesting a suspect with ties to Central America. 20. Another theory points to a sex trafficking ring operating at the state fair. 21. But Ida focuses on a local man, a pressman named Lorenzo Montoya. 22. He lived just miles from the graves and had a violent hatred for sex workers. 23. Co-workers said Montoya once boasted about killing women and burying them on the West Mesa. 24. But before police can move, Montoya's own violence catches up with him in 2006. 25. Lorenzo Montoya is found murdered in his own trailer, a knife in his chest. 26. His death is an act of street justice, silencing the West Mesa's most promising lead forever. 27. The case grows cold for years, the desert winds slowly erasing all traces. 28. Ida Lopez can't let go, visiting the mesa alone on the anniversary of the discovery. 29. She remembers the families, like Michelle Valdez's mother, whose eyes held bottomless grief. 30. Ida's obsession strains her marriage, her husband's face is a mask of lonely concern. 31. The killer, however, feels no strain, only a growing, arrogant itch. 32. He watches the news reports, a faint, smug smile playing on his lips. 33. He starts to make a mistake common to arrogant predators, he wants credit. 34. An anonymous letter arrives at the newspaper, taunting the police for their failure. 35. The letter mentions a detail never released to the public, a small silver cross found on one victim. 36. This sends a jolt through the task force, they have a direct line to the killer's ego. 37. They set up a sting, printing a fake article claiming the letter is a hoax to provoke him. 38. It works. A VHS tape, old and unlabeled, is left in a public library's drop box. 39. In the precinct's video lab, Ida and her team hold their breath as the static clears. 40. The video shows a man's torso, his face carefully kept out of frame. 41. His voice, digitally distorted, is calm and terrifyingly proud. 42. You want to know why the mesa? He says, his hands gesturing with strange grace. 43. It's not a dump site. It's a gallery. My gallery. And you are all my slow, stupid critics. 44. He promises there is more art to see, a final piece he'll reveal when the world is ready. 45. The team is horrified but energized, the video is a treasure trove of forensic clues. 46. They analyze the background, a concrete wall, a single high window with a cracked pane. 47. A tech identifies a unique brand of motor oil stain on the man's jeans. 48. They trace it to a specific auto shop chain, one with only 3 locations in Albuquerque in 2005. 49. Ida gets the employee records, her finger stopping on one name that feels wrong. 50. Joseph Joe Miller was a quiet pressman at a local print shop, just like Montoya. 51. His personnel file notes a harmless eccentricity: he collected newspaper clippings of violent crimes. 52. He lived alone in a modest cinderblock house on the city's expanding western edge. 53. Undercover officers begin 24-hour surveillance, watching Miller's every mundane move. 54. He is precise: every Tuesday at 7 p.m., he buys the same groceries at the same discount store. 55. But on Fridays after work, he drives his dark pickup not home, but out toward the West Mesa. 56. He doesn't go to the gravesite, he parks a mile away and just watches the horizon. 57. Ida orders a search warrant for his house and truck, based on the oil stain and his behavior. 58. At dawn, a SWAT team moves in, a battering ram crashing through Miller's flimsy front door. 59. Inside, the air is stale and still, every surface unnervingly clean and bare. 60. But in a locked bedroom, they find his gallery, walls covered in maps, photos, and twisted notes. 61. One note reads, "They were already ghosts. I just gave them a place to be." 62. In his toolbox, they find a small trowel and a brush, identical to those used by forensic archaeologists. 63. The most damning find is a pawn shop receipt for a silver cross necklace, dated 2004. 64. The shop owner, when shown Miller's photo, pales. "Yeah, I remember him. He haggled over $10. 65. As the evidence mounts, Miller is calmly arrested at the print shop, offering no resistance. 66. In the interrogation room, he's unnervingly serene, asking for a specific brand of soda. 67. Ida slides the pawn receipt across the table. "Why keep this, Joe? Was it a trophy?" 68. He smiles a thin, cold smile. "A receipt? No, detective. That's an invitation. To the real gallery." 69. He implies the 11 found women were just practice. "The masterpiece," he whispers, "is still out there." 70. He then clams up, demanding a lawyer, his final taunt hanging in the stale air. 71. The legal battle begins. Miller's defense argues all evidence is circumstantial, there's no body at his home. 72. Public pressure soars, but without a confession or a new body, the case begins to stall in the courts. 73. Then, a break, a retired mechanic comes forward after seeing Miller's face on the news. 74. He remembers a man matching Miller's description renting a private storage unit in 2005, paying in cash. 75. The storage unit, number 114, is buried in a maze of identical metal doors on the city's south side. 76. With a warrant, the lock is cut, and the heavy door rolls up with a thunderous rattle. 77. Inside is not a body, but a curated museum of a killer's mind, diaries, victim belongings, and soil samples. 78. In a journal, Miller details his philosophy: he was freeing women from their troubled lives, giving them peace. 79. He wrote of his masterpiece, a final victim, a woman he considered pure, whom he buried in a secret, beautiful location. 80. But her name, her identity, is never written. She is his perfect, anonymous art. 81. Confronted with this, Miller finally speaks, his voice flat. "You'll never find her. And without her, you have nothing." 82. He is charged with 11 counts of murder, but the trial becomes a circus of his narcissism. 83. He acts as his own lawyer, turning the courtroom into a stage for his twisted manifesto. 84. He is found guilty on all counts, the physical and circumstantial evidence overwhelming. 85. At sentencing, he is given life without parole. As the judge speaks, Miller simply smiles and nods, as if receiving an award. 86. He is led away, disappearing into the prison system, his final secret forever kept. 87. The search for the masterpiece victim continues for years, exhausting every clue from the storage unit. 88. They find nothing. The desert keeps its last, terrible secret. 89. Detective Ida Lopez retires, but the case file, labeled unfinished, remains on her home desk. 90. On the anniversary, family members of the victims gather at a simple memorial built on the mesa's edge. 91. They place flowers and photos, remembering sisters, daughters, and cousins who are more than just victims. 92. The wind whispers across the plain, a sound that is neither an answer nor a comfort, but a permanent echo. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.